Alright, you guys, welcome back. Today is an exciting day. Today we're going to be finally installing the cam. So all that's left here is this timing cover. We're going to take the timing cover off. We'll be able to access the cam. We'll be putting the new lifters in and just everything that goes along with the camshaft install itself. So finally we're at this point. Other than that, all the parts that I needed, so the valley cover I've already ordered and it's on its way, as well as the oil pan. The new gasket that I'm gonna need for that is on its way. So everything's coming together really nicely. If you have any questions about the install of the cam from this episode or any questions from any of the previous episodes, go ahead and let me know. Comment down below. As always, like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal, and let's get straight into it. Alright, the first thing we're gonna do is get this AC condenser out of the way. So if you saw, I don't even know what episode, but I said we're just gonna bend it out of the way like so. Now of course you want to go slowly, right? You don't want to damage any of your AC lines, and then follow it, like wherever it wants to go is where it'll go. So like that. Now we're good. Not too bad. It's out of the way. If I want to pull the cam, I can do it through there. Easy. Next is timing cover. So all these bolts that are 10 mils that are around the timing cover are going to come off, as well as the one that's on that connector right there. All of that is coming off. Before I get copyrighted, bro. Alright. Okay, timing cover is removed. We'll count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 bolts. And then there are also 2 on the bottom that are connected to the oil pan, but because I have the oil pan off, I didn't have to get those off. So if you're not removing the oil pan, remember those 2 on the bottom. So there's 10, and then there are 3 here, 1, 2, 3 that need to come off, and then this connector needs to come off. There's no electrical connector right there, right? So all of those are 10 mils, and they all come off pretty easy. So there we go, timing cover is off. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is removing the oil pump. So this is the crank. It's not these bolts that are directly around the crank. There are these, so 1, 2, and then on the other side it repeats 1, 2. Those 4 are what need to be removed. They're just 10 millimeters, so let me get those off. Okay, so if you're looking into doing the cam install, or if you're just kind of knowledgeable on the subject, you know that the bane of everybody's existence is this right here. This is the oil pickup tube bolt. I've got it loose a little bit so you guys can see it, but it's sitting right there. If you didn't have the oil pan dropped, I mean, this would just be very difficult to reach. But that's the pickup tube bolt right there that I'm currently removing. So I've got those 4 loose, and then now it's just that bolt right there. Okay, so there is a trick to removing the oil pump. So what you're gonna wanna do is get a screwdriver, push down on the pickup tube, just gently push down, and then you'll grab the oil pump, rotate it clockwise, and pull towards you. I don't have enough hands to show you guys this, and I don't have anywhere to mount you guys at the moment. So just remember, screwdriver in there, and then rotate to the right and pull, and it'll come right off. You guys, as you can see, the oil pump is off, but there is something very important that I want to show you. So as you can see up inside this oil pump, there's an O-ring right here. This is the O-ring for the pickup tube. So this O-ring needs to go back where it came from, which is over here on that pickup tube. So we're going to take that off and move it. What you don't want to happen is that when you reinstall this oil pump, it cracks or something bad happens to that O-ring because it's not where it's supposed to be, and then you start your engine up and then you're curious as to why you have no oil pressure. So remember, if you take this off, don't forget this O-ring. It needs to go back where it came from. Okay, I did this off camera, but I wanted to show you guys. Up here you have your camshaft timing gear, and it's got a little mark. I'm not sure if it'll pick it up on camera, but it's a little arrow. I have it pointed down, so it's at the 6 o'clock position. And then down here is the crankshaft timing gear, and it's a little marked. It's got a little like indentation, and that's pointed up at 12 o'clock. So this one's at 6 and this one's at 12. Okay, what you want to do in order to get the camshaft out is get a 24 mil and then put it here, and then what you would usually do is squeeze here on the timing chain tensioner and then put something to retain it. That way you relieve pressure off of the timing chain. What I did was snap my tensioner. I promise I was being gentle with it. Like I for the most part, like, I'm pretty gentle with all this stuff because I don't want to break it. But as I squeezed to relieve tension, it just snapped. I'm not going to be needing it. I've got the LS2 style one, but I mean, I broke it. So I've got no tension on the timing chain, or I mean, it's got some, but it's off. And what I'm going to do now is get this camshaft out. Moving on to getting this stock cam out. So first thing we're going to do is loosen it. It's just a 24 millimeter, and then we can get that out. Okay guys, sorry I didn't record. I was down here struggling because I was trying to take this bolt off, but the crank would spin. So what I ended up having to do, first off, that bolt is actually very difficult to get off too. It's not as hard as the actual crank bolt, but it's hard enough because since the crank is spinning and I'm the only one out here, I had to use one hand to hold the crank still, that way it wouldn't move. So I was pushing down here and then use one hand up here to break loose. So I'm gonna mount you guys up so I can show you guys what I looked like while I was doing it. So it was something like this. Had my wrench in here, hand here, and I just broke like this with one hand, with the left hand too. So for all those people that are saying, you know, I need to hit the weight room, you know what I'm saying, that's left hand, I'm right-handed, and you know, still got it. But so that's how I solved that problem, was just one wrench to hold the crank and then one wrench to break. You could, let me get you guys off the mount. Alright, you could get a flywheel holding tool. They sell that, and that avoids that problem. Exposure, Jesus. So you just put the thing into the flywheel and then it prevents the crank from spinning. But you know how we do it here at Ghetto Boy Garage. We just make it work, baby. We just make it work. Okay, next up we've got this camshaft retainer plate, and it's got 4 bolts around it. Those are Torx bit actually, and it's a T40. So I'm gonna get those off, and then we should be able to pull that cam. Alright, so now I took the stock camshaft bolt, which is right here. I threaded it on a little bit so it could help me pull the camshaft out. And now for the best part, the money shot. Here we go. Just gonna work this camshaft out. You don't want to be rough. Just spin it and it'll find its way out. Nice and easy. Here we go. Almost. And bam, we are clear. There is the stock camshaft. Okay, so we've got the stock cam here and we've got our Texas Speed cam here. There are 2 things that need to be done before we can put that cam in. One is with these bolts, these are our water pump bolts. We're gonna thread 2 of them in. That way we have, something to grab while we're putting the new cam in. So just like so, we've got our first bolt threaded in, and then we're gonna do the same thing right here. Second bolt goes in. And like I said, this is just so that when we're putting the cam in, we've got something to grab and we have leverage, right? Leverage is everything. So we've got our 2 bolts threaded in. Do a little bit more. All right, now the second thing is going to be over here. assembly lube. So you can use oil, I'm gonna use lube. I know this is gonna sound a little naughty, but you want to lube this up. Lube the entire thing up. Don't be greedy with the lube. Get it to where you can slip the cam in nice and easy. You don't have any problems. So I'm gonna lube this thing up, put my gloves back on, and then we're gonna head in there and put the cam back in. All right, now we're gonna work the new cam in. I've got some lube on the cam. It's the same thing as taking the old one out. Be patient. Don't try and force it in. It'll go in gently. You gotta spin a little bit, then do some spinning with it, but be gentle. Bam, just like that, our new camshaft is in. Okay, we've got our retainer plate back on. You do want to check to make sure your cam spins, it doesn't get stuck on anything. It's going to take a little bit of force, but it should spin pretty freely, and as you can see, ours is doing just fine. So after checking that, next I'm going to take my new LS2 dampener and I'm going to install it where those two holes are, where the old one came off, so it'll go right there. Okay, so after the retainer plate, I've got the new camshaft timing gear, the 3-bolt one, on. And so remember how we had our stuff at 12 and at 6 o'clock? Well, you put this little pin at the 3 o'clock position, and then that puts our mark down here around our 6 o'clock. And then you just pull this way to get the pin in, and then that will align our bolts. So I've got 2 bolts in. I'm going to remove this water pump one, put the 3rd one in, and then we'll be good up here. So yeah, I've got the timing chain back on. It's wrapped around down there. Get those bolts in, align everything the way that it should be, and we're good. Okay, so the sun has fallen. There's a lot going on right now. So I'm going to show you guys what all is going on. So first things first, the oil pump is back on. I know it's kind of dark, but the oil pump is back on. It was a little bit difficult to get the oil pump back on, but I would align the pickup tube bolt first and then make sure that the oil pump goes on, it flushes, it's seated well, and then tighten everything back down. So oil pump is back on. After that, we've got our new timing cover. I just pressed the new front main seal in. You just get oil and put it on the ring on the outside and then press it in. Do not put oil on the inside. That's where the harmonic balancer goes and the crank bolt, so don't put oil on the inside. Right now, I've got this bolt, which is an M14-150 or 1.5, whatever that means, but it's an oil drain plug, and I'm going to put that on the timing cover back there because there's an oil pressure relief valve, and I'm going to plug that up, but I'll show you guys that in the light right now. Other than that, I'm going to start assembling the lifters. The lifter is going to go into their lifter trays, and I'm going to put them in. I've got my new gaskets here for the water pump and stuff like that. I am missing some sealant, so I need to go and buy RTV That way I can put sealant where it's supposed to go. But other than that, that's about it. You guys are caught up on everything else. So yeah, let me just keep working. I know that it's dark out and the video quality isn't going to be the best, but I do just want to seal the front of this engine. That way it can just be sealed and I'll be done working with it, and then I can move up to the rockers and stuff like that. But for now, let me get to work. Okay, so on the oil pan, this little thing here is an oil pressure relief valve. So we're gonna take that off and we're just gonna plug that area. That's gonna ensure that we get good oil pressure consistently. So what we're gonna do is, I've got this, our 17 millimeter. It's gonna go here, and then we'll remove it with our 17 and then replace it with this, which is our M14-150, whatever. This is an oil drain plug, and we'll just we'll plug it. Okay, I've got my shiny new bolt installed right there. Okay, so my oil pan, I need the gasket. I ordered the gasket online, so I have to wait for it to come. So right now I'm just gonna put it back under the car the way I had it yesterday, which is just to cover the oil pump, and then I have to wait for the gasket. Okay, so I'm putting the lifter trays in. For those lifter tray, the bolts, there isn't a torque spec, at least like it's some super technical. It's like 106 inch-pounds or something like that. All I'm doing is hand tightening the bolts and then giving it like a, up until I feel any resistance, I'm stopping. Because those lifter trays are plastic, and the last thing you want to do is crack those plastics and then have to replace the lifter trays. Okay, just like that, we are done for today. Today was awesome, man. Taking the old cam out and putting the new one in, super satisfying. That was awesome. If you have any questions about anything you saw in this video, go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to answer those. Other than that, I'm waiting. I just checked the shipping number, and the valley cover and my oil pan gasket will be here on Thursday. So on Thursday, we'll be able to finally complete like sealing this engine off. The only other thing that I need to do is order the tool for the valve springs. I had a friend of mine who said he might have had one, but that fell through, so I actually have to order it, which is no problem at all. I'm going to try and order one that will be here the same time as the parts that are coming, which is on Thursday. So if I can do that, that'll be awesome, because then on Thursday, today's Tuesday, on Thursday we'll be able to just completely finish everything with the engine, put everything back together, and then we can move on to the transmission. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.